the beginning of the school year, the first and second grade classes of our school decided to pilot an ed tech app called iReady. After a few weeks of spending 20 minutes a day on this app, my second grade son came home saying he was bored. The app was giving him work far below his ability. It turned out iReady had placed him at a first grade reading level, but based on his map testing results, my son's skills are beyond his grade level, not below. I began to ask questions. Are gamified apps really helping our students, or are they making empty promises to teachers and districts who desire real outcomes? Are we handing too much control to computers when it comes to our children's education? My name's Hanna Wahlbrink, and I'm joined by my friends Kathryn Frugé and Meggie Kingsley. We're the parents of a total of 11 children, and all of our school-aged kids are students in the Ohio Public Schools, both Montessori and traditional models. We're here today to present our concerns with the growing use of educational technology in schools, specifically with one-to-one devices. It's our belief that Ohio Public Schools can retain more families and improve student outcomes by reevaluating current technology practices and carefully considering new tech before welcoming it into the classroom. Since the 1800s, children have been outperforming their parents on every cognitive measure until Gen Z. Independent research points to a correlation between school-issued devices and a decline in academic outcomes. Since 2012, the U.S. has shown a 7-point drop in reading and a 14-point drop in math. What else happened in 2012? Schools nationally started implementing school-issued one-to-one devices. Today, some schools in our nation report that middle and high schoolers spend more than 3 hours of a school day on devices. That's half of the working school day. Since these devices are often preloaded with gamified apps, as well as internet access, students are constantly getting distracted. Some studies show that for every hour of educational time on a computer, 38 minutes are spent off task. We're handing children entertainment devices and asking them to stay focused. That's a task difficult for adults.
Spinning off Hannah's point, do you know how hard it was for me as a 33-year-old woman to write this presentation on my computer without getting distracted? And my brain is fully developed. We are proposing an implementation of Every School's EdTech Triangle. The organization Every School is a nonprofit that through extensive research has produced a rubric for schools to determine what technology should be used in education. The rubric asks if the technology in question is transformative, supportive, restrictive, or disruptive, with the goal that all technology used lands in the top of the triangle. Transformative technology produces a unique outcome or develops a high-level skill, such as typing, coding, or graphic design. Supportive technology supports learning in helpful ways. This could include audiobooks, podcasts, or supplementary videos. Restrictive technology limits learning outcomes. This includes points-based learning games and screen-based tech whose learning outcomes are easily replicated with traditional methods. Today, through Norwood City School District's Final Forms website, there are 167 district-approved apps. Many of these apps would fall under the restrictive category. Disruptive technology disrupts learning and/or breeds habitual use. This includes using screen time for behavior management or needless screen-based homework assignments. Administrators, teachers, and parents alike all want excellent education for our students, and carefully evaluating each piece of technology before adopting it into the classroom will improve outcomes for students and school districts. This is a nonpartisan issue we can all rally behind. States on different ends of the political spectrum, like Vermont, Utah, and Tennessee, are already working on legislation around these very issues. Ohio can be a leader in our country by creating optimal environments for students and teachers. Let me paint a picture for you. A school day starts around 8:30. Students begin class with instruction from their highly qualified teacher. They practice writing with paper and pencils. Math problems are solved on personal dry erase boards instead of Chromebooks. During free time, the students enjoy playing outdoors. Once or twice a week, they walk to a computer lab where they receive age-appropriate instruction on typing and coding from a specialized teacher. At the end of the day, the kids go home without devices and enjoy a full childhood, playing games with their neighbors and siblings, riding bikes, reading books for fun. This is not a radical dream. This is an average day for schools like McPherson Middle School in Kansas, where administration has halted the overuse of technology in defense of deep learning. And this can be a reality for Ohio kids too.
I can remember 2020, COVID-19, and our mad dash to get devices in every kid's hand and figuring out who should have an iPad, who should, and it was a task. It was quite a task, and figuring out how to do instruction in a hybrid manner. I will never forget that. Then here now in 2026, I get emails from parents all the time asking about, well, Miss Murphy, what about the screen time? There's just too much, so this is very interesting. Our board also last year really ahead of the game for many Ohio districts. Approved our artificial intelligence policy, and we have teams of teachers and administrators working on what that looks like, sounds like, feels like in our classrooms. And so this is a very timely presentation, very interesting presentation. I can tell you that even when I present and talk with adults, everybody starts the meeting off with their laptops open. It's so interesting. So thank you for your time and your ideas around this piece.
Thank you.
If I could jump in quickly, echoing some of the same sentiments, is couldn't be more relevant. I'm actually on the Tech and Innovation Committee at the Ohio House, and there are many pieces of legislation where we're talking every day about the impacts of AI. And so I'm excited to learn and think more about this particular rubric. And so I just wanted to share a note of thanks. I also was a coder in high school, and so I attribute that a lot into my learning and curriculum. And so I was really happy to see you all considering that as a part of the transformative piece of the rubric. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have time, Andrea, for one more?
Yeah, please go for it.
Well, I was just going to ask the group, like, what about just getting rid of all of them?
Sounds
That would be
great.
great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That was my only question. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've learned.
We're here for it.
In doing research, we've learned that it is the one-on-one device that's where the numbers start to go down, right? That's where they're getting access to the internet at really early ages. Like that's where a lot of the issues begin. And we know there's challenge with that. Like it's made textbooks cheaper. And so there may need to be some kind of funding around that, but we would definitely love to see, at least in the lower levels and across the board, one-on-one devices removed from the classroom.
And just to be clear, in case that this is watched or recorded somewhere else, I have been a supporter of iReady for a bunch of reasons in our district. I stand by all of that. I think it's a very helpful assessment tool. I do wonder though about how much time from an instructional perspective kids are spending on devices. And
Yes.
Superintendent, I think there are also good reasons for why we might want to maintain some of that. But just as a parent, I think shrinking the instructional use of screens is at least
Yes.
compelling.
Yes, like in our rubric, the way that they would use it the way we did when we were kids, right? There would be a computer lab where they're learning a skill versus learning reading, writing, arithmetic. Like, so our kids are learning that better from their teacher than with the device. So it's different what they're getting on a computer than what we received.
Yeah. I think just one more comment on that point. An analogy that I feel like is helpful is if we decide that every high school should teach a driver's ed course, we wouldn't then decide that every classroom should be taught in a car. And the same goes for computers. We want these kids to be competitive when they go out into the real world, but we don't want all of their instruction to take place on a screen.
And
Thank
we
you all.
support, typing classes and coding and things like that. So we want to be clear that we know technology can be amazing and we don't want our kids to not have those skills, just in a more secure environment.